Hello everyone. In pharmacognosy subject, last time we have started with the one topic that is remaining in general pharmacognosy, that is adulteration and drug evaluation. So adulteration we have covered definition and different methods. Now today we will cover drug evaluation. Now first of all we must know the meaning of evaluation and definition. So, evaluation means to determine, to assess, to examine. Definition is evaluation of drug means confirmation of its identity and determination of its quality and purity and detection of nature of adulteration. So, evaluation, first of all, it confirms the identity of the drug. First of all, we have to identify. Now, in most of the practicals, see there is a aim to identify, isn't it? So, identification is one aspect in evaluation. Then, determination of its quality and purity. So, in chemistry practicals, whatever the assay you are performing, so that is to find out the percentage purity, isn't it? And based on the percentage purity, you will determine or you will get that how the drug in what percentage it is pure, and based on that the quality is decided, isn't it? So evaluation of drug means confirmation of its identity and determination of its quality and purity. If adulterated, it also includes detection of nature of adulteration, isn't it? So nature of adulteration also can be found by employing these important methods under evaluation. Now, there are so many methods which are used in detecting adulteration, isn't it? In genuine drug, in original drug, isn't it? So, the form of the drug also provides a clue, isn't it? Then, morphological characters are beneficial, isn't it? But when the drug is in powder form, isn't it? Then, or if it is in case of liquid drugs, we can say. So, chemical test is useful, isn't it? And in powder form, the microscope can be helpful to study the drug, isn't it? So, based on the form of the drug, there are so many methods which are used. Five important methods of drug evaluation we will cover, isn't it? First is organoleptic method of evaluation, other is microscopic evaluation, third is physical evaluation, then chemical evaluation, and last is biological evaluation. So one by one we will cover these methods, important methods, isn't it? First is organoleptic evaluation. So it means the assessment of the drug by organs of sense like skin, eye, tongue, nose, and ear, isn't it? Or we can also call this method as macroscopical evaluation, isn't it? We can also call morphological evaluation also, isn't it? So organoleptic or macroscopic, not micro, it is macroscopic, and also it can be called morphological method of evaluation, isn't it? Now this is carried out by color, order, taste, size, shape, and extra features like touch and texture. Then sound also, how the drug sounds, isn't it? Now, aromatic order of umbelliferous fruits, isn't it? We know that carminative drugs that we have studied, all they have got aromatic order, isn't it? Then honey has got sweet taste, isn't it? So these are some of the examples. Now in this organoleptic method of evaluation, the study of form is called morphology and the description of the form is called morphography, isn't it? Now it should be noted that color, shape and size of the drug, isn't it, as it is given in official books, this is just a guideline, and these whatever organoleptic factors are there, they may change, they may vary depending upon the several reasons, isn't it? We'll see that also later on. Now, organoleptic method, it is a technique of qualitative evaluation based on study of morphological and sensory profile of whole drug, isn't it? Like say for example, fractured surface in cinchona bark, Culaya bark, cascara bark, isn't it? Then aromatic order of umbelliferous fruits we know. Then, as I said, sweet taste of honey, licorice that we will cover later on, isn't it? Then order of the drug depends upon type and quality of odorous principles that are present in the drug. Now, shape of drug may be cylindrical or it may be subcylindrical, isn't it? There may be conical shape, as in case of aconite root, isn't it? Then size represent length, breadth, thickness and diameter. So shape of the drug is also very important. Now size, as we have seen, isn't it, that may vary and it may change depending upon the various conditions like temperature, the fertilizers that are used, isn't it? So if favorable conditions are provided, then the leaf drugs like senna leaf, datura leaf, seeds, Naxomica seed, fruit like coriander, fennel, these drugs of maximum size may be available. But if they are grown in adverse conditions, the size of the drug may get affected. Then shape of the drug we have seen. Now color means external color of the drug, isn't it? So this color of the drug also may fade if it is exposed to sunlight for long period, for long duration, or if the drug is not stored properly, isn't it? Then taste is also specific for these drugs, isn't it? So it may be sweet taste or bitter taste, isn't it? Or pungent taste. So most of the drugs they do not have a particular taste. Now the general appearance of the drug, it indicates whether it is likely to comply with prescribed standards, doesn't it? So this is about the extra features isn't it? Extra features, special features are also very important, isn't it? Like most of the drugs, they have got wrinkles, isn't it? Or some granular elevation is there, isn't it? Some fissures are present, nodules are present, some scars are there, spots that are left after when the leaves or stems or roots fall, isn't it? So, extra features are also very important in case of drugs. Now, before dealing with the microscopic evaluation, the in organoleptic method, the adulteration of seed of Strychnus nuxvomica with Nux blenda, isn't it? They are easily identified by organoleptic method of evaluation, isn't it? So when Alexandrian senna is adulterated with dog senna or Palthe senna, isn't it? So that can be found by this organoleptic method. Now, in case of unorganized drugs, isn't it? Form of the drug is very important, isn't it? Now, say for example, acacia, isn't it? The acacia, it is an unorganized drug. It is available in the form of ovoid tears, isn't it? While tragacanth is marketed or it is available in the form of ribbon, isn't it? And it has got longitudinal striations, isn't it? Now, type, next method is microscopic evaluation, isn't it? It involves detailed examination of the drug, isn't it? And it is used to identify these organized drugs by histological characters. Now, these histological characters can be studied with the help of microscope, and therefore the method is called microscopic evaluation. Now, it is mostly used for qualitative evaluation of organized drugs in entire and powder form. So, the microscopic evaluation of organized drug is also possible, as well as if the drug is in the powder form, still this method is helpful, isn't it? Now, microscope, we know that we use this for studying the cellular arrangement or whatever the histological characters are there, isn't it? So, whatever the minute structure is there, isn't it? That is enlarged with the help of a magnifying lens, and it can be used to confirm structural details of the drug from plant origin, isn't it? Now, in microscopic method, qualitative as well as quantitative studies can be carried out, isn't it? By using microscope, various cellular tissues, trichomes, stomata, starch grains, calcium oxalate crystals, aileron grains. These are some of the important parameters which play important role in identification of certain drugs. So that comes under qualitative analysis or studies. Quantitative study, that will include the study of stomatal number, stomatal index, palisade ratio, vein islet number, isn't it? Size of starch grain, length of fibers, isn't it? So that is quantitative microscopy. And in leaf drugs, leaf constants, that also we will discuss, isn't it? That is studied. Now, qualitative microscopy, stomata, In most of the drugs, if we take example of leaf drugs, isn't it? So stomata is present. Now stomata is nothing but the minute opening which is present on the epidermal layer, isn't it? And there are different kinds of stomata. They are distinguished by the form and arrangement of the surrounding cells, isn't it? So, five types of stomata you will see with examples that you can refer. This is just for your information. We need not go in detail. Just regarding stomata, you must know. Now, quantitative microscopy, as I said, that leaf constants are covered in this study, isn't it? And leaf constants we will see here. Very first is the palisade ratio, isn't it? Now, palisade ratio, it is nothing but the average number of palisade cells beneath one epidermal cell, isn't it? Using four continuous epidermal cells for count, isn't it? Now, understanding these leaf constants, you have to refer either TS of Senna leaf or Dhatura leaf. So, lab manual you can refer and you can try to understand these leaf constants, isn't it? So, palisade cells they are present below the epidermis, isn't it? This is the definition of palisade ratio. Then stomatal number. Stomatal number is average number of stomata present per square mm of epidermis, isn't it? So average number of stomata that are present per square mm of epidermis. As I said that stomata are present on the epidermal layer. Single epidermis is there, isn't it? Either it may be upper epidermis or lower epidermis. Then stomatal index. Now stomatal index, just to make you understand that the percentage of stomatal number is determined by stomatal index. So it is the percentage which the number of stomata forms to the total number of epidermal cells, each stoma being counted as one cell. Now for determining stomatal index, the formula is used, that is the stomatal index is equal to the stomata, isn't it, upon the epidermal cells plus number of stomata per unit area multiply by 100. So the stomatal number varies considerably with the age of leaf and due to climatic conditions, isn't it? But stomatal index is relatively constant and therefore it is an important diagnostic feature for most of the leaves, isn't it? Then vein islet number. So vein islet means what? The small area of green tissue. So most of the leaves you have seen that they are greenish. So small area of green tissue, isn't it? Continued by the veinlets. Now vein islet number is defined as average number of vein islets per square millimeter of the leaf surface, isn't it? So it is a number of vein islets per square mm of leaf surface, isn't it? So it is constant for given species. It usually does not alter with age of the plant and it is independent of the size of the leaf. So these are some of the important leaf constants which are studied in case of leaf drugs, and it comes under microscopic evaluation. Next important method is physical method. Now physical standards, isn't it, or physical constants are to be determined for drugs wherever possible, isn't it? They may help in evaluation, specifically with reference to important constants we will discuss, isn't it? Now, physical constants are sometimes taken into consideration to evaluate certain drugs. So, one by one, we will study these. First is moisture content, isn't it? So, the percentage of active ingredient in drug, it should be minimized to control the microbial contamination, isn't it? Now, the percentage of active chemical constituent in drugs is mentioned on air-dried basis, isn't it? So, moisture content of the drug should be determined and it must be controlled, isn't it? To make solution of definite strength, isn't it? This moisture is to be controlled to prevent decomposition, degradation of the drug also, isn't it? Due to microbial contamination. So few examples also we must know, isn't it, of the drugs with limits of moisture content. Next is viscosity. Now viscosity can be evaluated by viscometer, isn't it? It is constant at given temperature, isn't it? And is an index of its composition, isn't it? So here uh, liquid paraffin is given, example pyroxylin is given, okay. Then solubility is also very important, isn't it? Melting point. Now melting point, it is one of the parameter to judge the purity of the drug, isn't it? Now in case of pure chemicals or phytochemicals, melting point is very sharp and it is constant. Now in case of crude drugs, we know that they are obtained from animal source, plant source, and they contain mixed chemicals. So they are described with certain range of melting point, isn't it? They don't have specific sharp melting point because they exist in the form of mixed chemicals, isn't it? So few examples are also given like colophonic, cocoa butter, cocoa butter, isn't it? Then optical rotation. So certain substances are found to have property of rotating plane of polarized light in pure state or in solution. So they are described to be optically active, and this property is called optical rotation. Now this plane of polarized light can be rotated towards right or left, isn't it? Normally optical rotation is determined at 25 degree centigrade using sodium lamp as a source of light. So few examples are given, isn't it? So that you can refer. Then refractive index is another physical constant, important one, which is measured by Abbe's refractometer. Now, when a ray of light passes from one medium to another of different density, it is bent from original path. So the ratio of velocity of light in vacuum to its velocity in the substance is called refractive index of second medium, isn't it? Now depending upon purity, it is constant for liquid and be considered as one of the criteria for standardization. So few examples you can refer. Then next important is ash value. So ash value means the residue that is remaining after burning or incineration is called ash content of the drug, isn't it? Now this ash value, it represents inorganic salts, isn't it? Naturally occurring in drug or adhering into it, or deliberate kind may be there, like purposely also they are added, isn't it, as a form of adulteration. So to determine ash content, the plant material is to be burnt, and the residue that will remain in the form of ash is measured as total ash value. Now this total ash is the measure of total amount of material left after burning, and includes ash derived from part of the plant itself and acid insoluble ash. So there may be either, now this ash is usually the consist of carbonates, oxides, phosphates, silicates and silica, and this acid insoluble ash can be obtained, isn't it? So this acid insoluble ash is insoluble in hydrochloric acid. Now this ash value is used to check adulteration, purity and quality of the drug, isn't it? Then next is extractive value, isn't it? Now this method determines the amount of active constituents extracted by using solvent, any solvent, isn't it, from a given amount of medicinal plant material, isn't it? So many times extract obtained by exhausting crude drug are indicative of approximate measures of certain chemicals they contain, isn't it? Now the various solvents are used for extraction, isn't it? Depending upon the nature of the drug, isn't it? Water soluble extractive value can be found, isn't it? The method is applied to drugs which contain water soluble active constituents such as tannins, isn't it? Mucilage, glycosides. Then alcohol soluble extractive value. So alcohol is ideal solvent for extraction of various chemicals like tannins, resins, isn't it? This is frequently employed to determine approximate resin content of the drug, isn't it? Then other is ether soluble extractive value. So here again one can go for determining ether soluble extractive value, and so here volatile and non-volatile ether soluble fractions are there, isn't it? So volatile ether soluble extractive represents volatile oil content of the drug, while non-volatile ether soluble extractive value represents resins, fixed oil, coloring matter, isn't it? Then volatile oil content also can be determined by physical method of evaluation, isn't it? So for the drugs containing volatile constituents, the methods that are used, isn't it, is toluene distillation method, isn't it? So this is all about the physical method of evaluation. Next is chemical method. Now chemical method, it comprises of different chemical tests and chemical assays, isn't it? So isolation, purification and identification of active constituents are chemical methods of evaluation, isn't it? So preliminary phytochemical screening of extract for different types of chemical constituents should be followed by qualitative chemical test to give general idea regarding nature of chemical constituents present in the drug. The extract should be subjected to preliminary phytochemical investigation, isn't it? So, quantitative chemical tests such as acid value, saponification value are also covered under this technique, isn't it? Now, the successive solvent extraction of the drug is carried out with various solvents like ether, benzene, isn't it? Chloroform, ethanol. Then conventional titrimetric estimations are also done, isn't it? For example, for estimation of alkalides, isn't it? Then for estimation of ester and aldehydes, aldehyde content of volatile oil, isn't it? So many titrations you are already knowing in chemistry. Titrations are coming under the chemical evaluation, that is chemical assay. Then chemical tests also help in proper identification of varieties of crude drugs, isn't it? So the solution of lead acetate is used for chemical identity of the gums. The alkaloid containing drugs, isn't it? Or glycoside containing drugs can be studied, can be identified with the help of specific chemical test, isn't it? For example, bond trigger test for detecting anthraquinone glycosides in senna, aloe, isn't it? Then identification of tropane alkaloids, isn't it? By vitally Morin test in case of Datura, belladonna, hyoscyamus, isn't it? So these are the specific tests which are carried out in chemical evaluation. Last method is biological evaluation. So chemical evaluation means chemical assay, whereas biological method involves bioassay, isn't it? Now, bioassay means what? That when the estimation of potency of drug or its preparation is done by means of its effect on living organisms like bacteria, fungi, or any animal tissue or entire animal, then it is called bioassay, isn't it? So, the clinical trials which are carried out nowadays, isn't it? And earlier also, they are coming under bioassay, isn't it? So the effect of any drug that is tested on either animals or any isolated tissue, isn't it, of animals, or even on human beings also, isn't it? So this method is generally useful when standardization is not adequately done by chemical or physical method. So bioassay is the measure of sample being tested capable of producing biological effect, isn't it? And such an activity is represented in units like it is called international units, isn't it? So many drugs, they are evaluated with the help of biological method, like say for example determination of pesticides, isn't it? Then heavy metals, okay, radioactive, whatever the substances are there, okay. Now apart from this digitalis drug, so this digitalis is cardiotonic, and its uh, potency is checked on the isolated frog heart also, because it is a cardiotonic, isn't it? So digitalis one international unit is contained in 76 milligram of standard preparation. Similarly, the various hormones, various vitamins, isn't it? Their potency also can be determined by using biological method of evaluation. So here the biological method is also over, and with this we finish up the topic under general pharmacognosy, adulteration and drug evaluation, isn't it? So all methods are important. Try to understand, refer textbook and relevant examples that are given in each method. Thank you.